dude.
or not peak ones.
Speaking of Jay-Z, because I'm a huge fan of his, I don't know if he still does it. Obviously, the more he does, the more, honed into his craft he is.
Mm-hmm.
But like with the Blueprint and the 99 Problems and all
Yeah.
that, back then he would do 60 songs
Picked like 12.
and pick the best 12.
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
it's crazy.
60 songs? I mean, I would love to do that, but at the same, there again, and I don't know if he feels this way, but with me, like every song I write,
Feel good
it's
about
my baby.
it. Yeah, I like it.
That's the one. But then I'll put it to the side and I'll come back. I'm like, maybe that's not the one.
Mm-hmm.
Like with our debut song. Our debut song is Shelf Toy.
Gotcha. Nice.
And we have three singles. And this is not the one I originally wanted to be the debut. Like, here's us. Here's Jay Lane and the Sonic Revival.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I would go back and listen, I'm like, damn, this thing's got some groove to it. You know what I mean? I like it. And then every part of the production, the band, like, what song are we working on today? Oh, let's start with Shelf Toy. So it got bumped up ahead of everything else. Mm-hmm. And then how it came about, the song, Tim is like a riff master, guitar player. Mm-hmm. Me and him have been friends. He was in my very first band, the Jay Lane Band.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, short notice. Like, I was looking for a guitar player, and his then sister-in-law was like, my brother-in-law plays. I'm like, cool. So I called him up and I talked to him. I was like, hey, man, would you be interested in doing this, that, and the third? He's like, yeah. He's like, when's the show? I was like, in 2 weeks. He's like, shit.
Hell yeah.
So I'm truly lucky and blessed to have him with me still on this ride, because actually all three of the guys are probably the most humble guys to be as good as they are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like the least experienced in my band. And it's always been that way. Like ever since day one, when
What you want.
Yeah, I was always the least experienced. I might not can play the scales you can play. I might not can drum like you can drum. I don't even own a bass guitar, but I got the gift of gab and I can put us places. So.
The marketing's valuable too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You guys do that.
It's a very, very valuable piece.
You guys do that. You do your thing. I'm gonna do my thing, and together it's gonna explode. So when we first wrote this particular song, he came to me. He's like, "Hey man, check this riff out," and he played it. I was like, "Ooh, that's got groove. I like that. That's sassy. That's got some some swag to it." And I was like, "Dude," I know some lyrics I can put to it, because normally, as of right now, that's how we do it. He'll come up, I'll say, "Here's my idea," and he'll deliver a riff to it, or he'll bring a riff, and I'm like, "Ooh, that fits something I've in my head lyrical wise."
Yep.
So the song is Shelf Toy, and essentially what it's about Rebecca, my wife. It's not about her, but she has this slogan on the refrigerator that I absolutely love. It says, if it's important to them, they'll find a way. If it's not important to them, they'll find an excuse.
Yeah, for sure.
And that, I love that. And it kind of coexists with Shelf Toy. Shelf Toy was nothing more than that. It was a title. But where it came from is back in the day when I'm running the bar trying to be cool and everything, just started playing. There was a girl I was hanging out with. We weren't dating. I wasn't trying to pursue her. But the more we hung out, the more it kind of felt like we were dating. So I'm like, well, I kind of do like her. Maybe I should, talk to her.
Talk
Maybe
yourself into it a
yeah,
little
maybe I
bit.
should ask her out. And then, she would call and she'd be like, hey, Friday night, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't have any plans. Well, let's do this, that, and the third. All right, sweet. Where do I meet you at? Meet me here. All right, cool. Friday. Hey, something come up. I'm like, okay, I get it. Things come up. Got it. Next week, same thing. Next week. Finally, one day, I probably had a shit day. I'm a pretty even keel guy. It takes a lot to piss me off. And it wasn't nearly as dramatic as it might sound in the song, the lyric content. But finally, she said she had something to do somewhere else. I'm like, hey, cool, that's not a problem. Me and the boys going to the bar, going to grab some cold ones. And I get there, and she's there.
Hey.
And then she's like stumbling over her words. I'm like, hey, I get it.
It's chill, yeah.
I just thought we were hanging out. We're not hanging out. But here's one thing you need to know. I swear to God. I said, I'm not your damn shelf toy.
Yeah.
You're not just going to call on me when you're bored and want something to do,
Yeah,
and then
like
when
a
you're not,
fallback friend,
put
yeah.
me up on a shelf until next time. I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
And after I said that to her, I was like, shelf toy.
yeah.
That should be a song one day.
Yeah.
And dude, this is like 20 years. Nah, not 20. I've been doing this since 2005. 2006, 2007 is just when this happened. And I was like, cool. So Tim comes up and he's like, hey man, check this lick out. And he's playing it. I'm like, that's
Got
shelf
it.
toy.
Yeah, got it.
So
Yes.
we did, that was the first song. And like I said, the more I listened to it, I'm like, this is a banger. You know, I think, you know, what the hell do I know?
Yeah. Well, that's all that really matters.
What I loved about it is when I told Tim, I was like, dude, here's the lyric content and here's why. He's like, man, same shit happened to me, man. You know, with some other girl, you know, before him and I even met.
Right, right.
You know, and this was pre-cell phones.
Yep.
So they would make plans on the phone,
Yeah, you drive
and
all
then
the
he'd
way
go
up.
home and like, you know, she's like, I'll be at your house. And he's waiting all night. Now his night's wasted. He can't go
Yeah.
hang out with his boys and stuff.
Yep, yep.
So like, I think he let her get away with that 2 or 3 times, and then he's like, you know what? Whatever.
Hell of it, yeah.
She calls and she's like, I'm gonna be there Friday night. He's like, sure, okay, cool. And Friday night he
Went
he
and did
was
something
gone.
else anyway, yeah.
And he's like, I'm not, you know, my time's valuable.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's just hanging out with somebody and shooting the shit, my time is valuable. So Tim liked it. I was like, well, cool. Here's a song that you and I both relate to. Great.
Yep.
And I learned early that I know what the finished product sounds like in my head, and I would like let like my, you know, my closest people or whoever hear like the demos, and they're like, right, so you're still pursuing this music thing, huh? I'm like, well, I mean, it's not, you know, when it's finished, you know, and then I'm passionate about it, so I'm like, you know, once it's, you know, bounced down and mixed and blah, 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 and I'm speaking like, you know, production terms, and they're like, so did you want to get a pizza or not? Okay. And what
Are
I
we still gonna play cards?
yeah. So I was like, you know what, Jay? Don't tell a soul about the shit until it's done.
Yeah, just punch.
Because that's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear, you know, the backlog, the this, to that. People who are close to me and know me already know I'm a musician. They get that. If they wanted to hear mumbo jumbo about all that shit, they'd ask. But there were 2 or 3 people that I was like, man, whoo-hoo, I cannot wait for you to hear this. I cannot wait for you to hear this. Well, let's hear it. I'm like, not until it's finished.
Until it's done.
When it's mastered and comes back, you can hear it. Until then, no. I will tell you this. This is what it's about. Every single person I said, this is what it's about, they're like, man, that same shit happened to me, man.
That's it, that relatable stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, now we got something. Because that's essentially how Taylor Swift made it.
Right.
She was on MySpace, and, you know, back in the day, you didn't have to be friends with people to see what they were, you know, if they talked to someone else.
Right.
So she would see all these girls talking about heartache, heartbreak, you know, I can't believe he dumped me, and now he's going out with the head cheerleader, blah, blah, blah. Right, you
Yeah,
know.
perfect.
She was
That
cheerleader,
relatable
I'm on the
concept.
bleachers, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So she was just writing songs that she could relate with her peers and her friends, and they loved it. So,
Smart.
and I thought about it, I was like, dude, every song that really sticks, it's something relatable. You know?
Yep.
So
Everything.
that's,
I mean, it's content in general now too, right? Like content is like the term for all things like that. But like there for a while, that was like the premier type of creating stuff that you liked or it was making you feel a certain way. So
Yeah.
it totally makes sense.
so
Totally
that's the
makes sense.
song, Shelf Toy.
Sweet. Sweet.
Shelf Toy. Shelf Toy.
I like that. We'll throw it up.